Hello, I'm David Allen. Thanks for visiting 13newsnow.com and our series of stories on Rivers Casino Portsmouth. The gaming company places a high priority in giving back to the community through a host of partnerships with nonprofits. Recently, I sat down with Melissa Ramsey, the casino's Director of Community Engagement, to talk about her newest partnership with local food banks. Here's more of my interview with Melissa. Melissa, you're the Director of Community Relations for Rivers Casino Portsmouth. You were one of the first employees hired by the property almost a year ago. So tell me a little bit about what you have been doing in this past year.
Yes, so since February when I was hired, I was one of the top 5 or the first 5 hired. So since then I have been, at the beginning it started off more networking and getting out into the community and letting people know what was coming, what to expect, because I feel like in Hampton Roads a lot of people didn't really know exactly what to expect. So I went to chamber events, networked, and got out into the community and let people know about Rivers Casino Portsmouth. And I met with nonprofits to lay the groundwork for what I knew what was coming, which is Rivers Gives. So I knew that I would be directing Rivers Gives more so when we open and right before we open, which is now. So I laid the groundwork, did the research, met with local nonprofits throughout Portsmouth and Hampton Roads just to gauge their missions, what they were doing in the community, how they were impacting the community and helping the community. And now we're at a point where we have the staff to go out and do these service days. Before we had the staff, I would go out and pull weeds and pick up trash and, vet these experiences, these volunteer experiences. And now that we have the staff, we've already had one service day at Wesley Community Service Center where we handed out food. They are the food distribution site for Portsmouth for the food bank. So we handed out food. They have a clothing closet and we operated the clothing closet while we were there. And we have an upcoming service day at the Mayflower Marathon.
Talk a little bit about Rivers Gives, because that's Rush Street Gaming's commitment at its properties to giving back to communities, both in volunteer hours and other ways, correct?
Correct, yes. So Rivers Gives started somewhat organically within Rivers Casino. They were volunteering and having these service days and giving thousands of hours. And eventually they decided, let's give this a name because we do it so often, and it turned into Rivers Gives. And now it's transformed into a wonderful program, and there are 5 pillars. There's volunteerism, board service, in-kind donations, there is corporate giving and donation drives. So we have a variety of ways that we give back to the community. It really started out with the volunteerism piece. So we go out and we volunteer once a month, and each property we give over 2,000 volunteer hours. So cumulatively, we're the 5th property, so 8,000 between all 4 properties. And then once we're added, we'll give cumulatively 10,000 hours between all of us.
So what has been the reaction to employees who have been hired to this volunteerism, the volunteer spirit of the property?
Yeah, we really breed a culture of engagement. And when you're talking about workplace culture, I feel that it's so important now that not only do you show up for work and you do your job and you get a paycheck, but you find a sense of purpose in what you're doing. So it's so important to us to cultivate that culture and give that opportunity to employees to go out and make a difference. I have no problem signing people up for volunteer days. People really jump at the opportunity. So I don't have to twist anybody's arms. They're so happy to be there, and they always want to sign up more and more and more. So it's just the spirit of service that Rivers Gives encapsulates, and I'm very excited because we have a very large staff and we have plenty of opportunity to volunteer and help out.
When you first started going out into the community and you started speaking to people about the casino, what kind of feedback did you get? Because casinos are relatively new to this particular area.
The large majority of people I spoke to were very excited about this new industry coming into Virginia. It's entertainment, you know, it's more than just a casino is what I tell people. It's an entertainment venue. So I got a lot of excitement. I mean, it's once people kind of knew who I was and I started handing out my business card, you know, I'd get I'd get connections, giving me other connections and meeting with more people. And when they also additionally found out about Rivers Gives, then there was a lot of interest to say, oh, if you're responsible neighbors and you have that culture of giving, how can you give back to us maybe, you know? So when I meet with nonprofits, I think of them and how they could fit into this kind of 5 pillars. So it seems that we're able to help so many, just even with a donation drive within the casino. So,
talk about some of the nonprofits that you have already engaged with.
Sure, yeah, it's other than, like I said, me going out and pulling weeds and kind of doing my singular work. We have, our first service day was Wesley Community Service Center. So as I said, we went out and we handed out clothing and food. And they are affiliated with the Foodbank, who we are also helping them for the upcoming Mayflower Marathon. So we're very excited to sponsor the Mayflower Marathon. And we're showcasing several of our pillars of giving through the Mayflower Marathon, where we have volunteers who are going to be activated at the event. We're giving a, corporate giving, we're giving a gift to them, and we're also doing an in-kind gift. So that hits a lot of these pieces that fall under Rivers Gives. And then we've also, there are several, but there's NSU. We gave a substantial contribution to their Path to the Rose Bowl, to the Rose Parade. So we were very proud to be there at the NSU game a couple weeks ago to present that check. And we've also given to the Portsmouth Museums Foundation. We've sponsored several events. We've sponsored the Juneteenth event with the Urban League of Hampton Roads. We've sponsored Phil Fest. We've sponsored several events. So we're not even open yet, and we're only just getting started. So we're excited to, if you look at the other Rivers Gives programs, say, in Pittsburgh, as you've been there, it's a very big commitment, and there's plenty of time to help out so many worthy organizations.
Seems like Rush Street Gaming has a big commitment to helping those with food insecurity.
Yes, that is certainly one of the things, especially in the times we're in now, with our pocketbooks getting tighter and tighter, especially with food, rising costs. Food insecurity is paramount to one of the things that we're doing. We help out in so many different ways, but we do typically try to tackle food insecurity because it could be anybody. It could be your neighbor, it could be anybody, and you wouldn't know that they have trouble filling their refrigerators or their pantries. And it's important to make sure that, we're fed and we feed others where we can. So we're excited for us to give back through the Mayflower Marathon, and that's just a small way. We will continue that partnership into the future. And then, if anyone in the community wants to come out and say hi and donate some food, next Friday we'll be there, and we hope to see you.
Explain a little bit about how the food bank partnership will work.
So we will do the volunteer work. So we will be there at the Mayflower Marathon, but we also have another volunteer day lined up. So we will go work in their warehouse and activate volunteers. It's just very rewarding work and kind of an easy way to volunteer and help out the community. So we will have several volunteer days with them, and also a monetary contribution, obviously, to help fill their pantry, to help fill their warehouse, to be able to disperse that food into the community. And also Wesley Community Service Center, the food distribution site for Portsmouth, to be on the ground there and to be distributing food there as well. And then, the in-kind contribution. So typically when we partner with an organization, especially one as large as the food bank, that's going to be a very long partnership, a years and years long partnership. So we look forward to working with them to kind of close the gap and get people to where they need to be fed. I mean, you can't do much if you don't have food on your table.
How do you see it growing over the years?
I would say just organically and knowing each other on a first name basis, having, hey, we have a dozen people who want to help out. They're really excited to come in, sign them up for a volunteer day, whatever they need. And even if they say there's an opportunity that arises and they are thinking, who should we call to help us with this opportunity? They're going to think Rivers Casino Portsmouth, and they can give us a call and we could be on the ground for them right away.
I know in Pittsburgh there is a commitment by Rivers Casino Pittsburgh to the environment. Is it possible that we'll see Rivers Casino Portsmouth doing something that demonstrates a commitment to our environment?
Certainly. For me personally, that hits close to home. I actually graduated with a forestry degree, but you know, here I am working for the casino. But a couple of the things that I did actually, I volunteered at Hoffler Creek Wildlife Preserve here in Portsmouth. So I went out and I pulled weeds and cleaned up their trails out there, and that was just me alone before we even had the staff. So I'm excited to get a group of staff out there to really beautify the place. And also I went out with the Old Town Business Association and cleaned up garbage. They do that every first Friday of the month, so be easy to get a group of volunteers out there to clean up. And I'm always looking for opportunities to activate our team members to go and do things like that. It really is rewarding when you enter an area that might need cleaning up or might need some work, and then you do that work and you see your result that same just hours later. It's wonderful, and it helps the environment. So
you talk about these volunteer hours for employees, but the casino actually pays employees for that time.
Yes, of course. That is, you know, time is valuable, and we believe that time that our employees are giving back to the community, even though they're being paid for that time, that is the donation of Rivers Casino Portsmouth. You know, it's rewarding for the employee and rewarding just in that they feel that they've given back that day, but also rewarding because they didn't have to lose money over it. They didn't have to lose time over it. They invested time in the community and they still got compensated for it. So it's very important that we breed this culture of engagement and we make sure that we are feeding into that culture, because we have a unique opportunity here, being the first newly built casino in Virginia, not only to create a workplace culture, but to create a culture of giving back within our employees. So